living layer, the dermis, and then we've got the 5 dying layers called the epidermis, and then we've got our skin barrier. Think of it like a very thin layer of protective oil that keeps the good stuff in and the bad stuff out. And the key is in the name. It says it's an acid mantle, so its pH is usually more on the acid side, which is what we want. We want an acid mantle. So that's why if you ever meet someone who washes their face with soap scary. The soap's pH is very alkaline, so it rips off the barrier. The same when you see people use foaming cleansers, that's a real common one, and they're getting open pores and blackheads, or they say, oh, I feel clean and then my skin's looking more oily through the day. So they're ripping off their natural oil. Remember, it's an acid mantle with something that's too abrasive. So from a scrub, a microfoliate, the pH and the cleanser could be wrong. A lot of the problems happening with cleansing. It's really a big problem. And then if it foams or lathers, it has a detergent agent. So if you think about your dishes and you've used oil to cook your food, when you clean those pots and pans, you need a good detergent because the detergent strips off the oil. Now I want you to consider that beautiful acid mantle that's a film of oil that you require for cell function and health. And then you take something that foams or lathers to it. It strips it off. I know. And this is why when you pull off your oil, guess what happens to your skin? Your skin factory is trying to help you. So it goes, oh, she poured the oil off, so I'm going to overproduce oil. And that's what tends to happen. So you start to see you got more oil glands through the T-zone. So out my forehead, nose, sort of inner cheek, and down here you've got more oil glands that sit in that region, so that's going to be overproducing, and that's where you'll see those open pores. So the oil sits in the pore and it stretches out the top of the pore, so then I have to fix that, and it's a lot harder to fix the open pore, and there's no point fixing it unless you fix the barrier because it will just keep happening. So that's one aspect of the barrier. It also has what's called like a microbiome. So we've got our natural microbes that live in there, which is part of our defense system as well. So there's a lot going on in that acid mantle, and it's pretty normal that I see even advanced students starting to rip it off. And how are they doing that? Because they should know better. Well, they're skipping this vital step in their cleaning. Okay. Or they just don't see it as important. So I think it's just lack of knowledge. And then when we discuss it in the clinic and they start doing it again, the skin starts to correct. They're like, oh, I feel more hydrated and my skin looks more glowing, and oh, I'm happy now. And I didn't think it was so important. So that's why this video is all about our barrier function and why it's so important. Because if you don't have a barrier, I like to think about it like the tiles on your house, the roof. So if you take those tiles off the roof, which is like your barrier function, and the weather changes, it doesn't matter how expensive all the furnishings in the inside of the house is all going to get affected in a negative way. So we want a healthy barrier. Now we also know that our skin, it's an organ, right? It's your largest organ, and it's affected by all the systems inside the body. And we know that we've got receptors through nerves, very rich in the skin. And on those receptors, there's receptors for your blood sugar, insulin, there's receptors for cortisol, stress hormone. So when these are fluctuating or elevated or not balanced, what can happen is you can also see the barrier go down. This is really common. I don't know if you've ever had like a common cold or flu or sick, and you start noticing your skin condition gets worse. It's pretty common. People say, I look like death. And it's not glowy or dewy because the barrier actually drops when we're sick or run down, when we're stressed, when we're not balanced. So that's why what you do mechanically to the skin matters, and that's how you can overcompensate and create optimality even when you've got a lot of things happening in your internal or mind. You can still keep the skin really optimal simply by doing this. So you want to learn it? All right, we're going to go. Most of my students know it because it's like the first thing I'll do when I meet someone is I'll change how they clean their skin. So firstly, we don't want anything that strips. Do you remember why? Oil. You don't want to use anything that's pulling off oil. You don't want any grains or microfoliants because they're mechanical exfoliation and they're also going to strip. When it comes to exfoliation, you can look at my AHA videos. That's where we use wisdom from science to actually help gently dissolve damaged cells and speed up cell turnover without doing anything negative to the barrier. So two ways to clean the skin. We'll always use a pre-cleansing oil. Love this. I always had blackheads until I did this. Because I was always just too aggressive. I was ripping. I was trying to force the skin to fix itself opposed to working with the ecosystem of the skin. So the pre-cleansing oil is exactly what it sounds. Oil attracts oil, so it's an acid mantle, but it's made of oil, a fume of oil. So oil will actually help to retract or bring on that beautiful, healthy oil. Now, in the acid mantle, when we sleep, our skin detoxes. It's off gas, like it's letting go of waste to the structure of the skin. So we want to kind of give it, when we wake up, I mix a kaolin clay. Now there's two, so I'm going to show you both of them that I like, and I do it a bit different to most people. So there's one here, this is kaolin clay. So that one's more hydrating, so that's wonderful when the skin's like dry, a lot of sun damage, irritated. Or the pollution. The pollution I find is really good if someone sits a lot in front of a computer screen for a living, so they're getting a lot of free radical damage from the blue light, or they have a lot of environmental stress from living in a city. So this one has an additional ingredients that help with pulling out those free radicals embedded in the skin. So how do we use this? So I mix my oil with the clay. I make a small amount into my hand, so like a 5-cent piece of the clay and about a 5-cent piece of the oil. So I apply both of them into the palm of my hand, and then I simply, when I wake up first thing in the morning or when I get home, I'll actually just mix them and massage them into my whole face and pull whatever I've got left over on my neck. And I'll leave them on. So if it's the morning, I'll go off and do my morning training, my morning routine, and then I'll come back and I'll use my cleanser to clean that off and to set the pH of the skin. Remember, we have an acid mantle. We need to set the pH with the cleanser. And now my barrier, the oil has been all corrected, and all the free radicals from the day or from the night's sleep has been corrected.